Who's Dee Armstrong? Wow. I guess Dee Armstrong is different people in different situations because I'm definitely my mother's daughter. I'm my kid's mom. I'm Sister Dee at church, Sunday school teacher. I'm Dee on the desk. I'm Dee, I like to sing. I'm Dee, I like to work on, we redo old property. So I guess there's a lot of different parts to me, you know. Yeah.
And what's the best part about you?
The best part, I guess, is that I believe, I believe that no matter what is going on, that something's good, probably something good is going to come eventually. I think that's what I like about me most. It's kind of hard to crush me or get me down, and I always see a way out of things. And if I don't see a way out, I believe God is going to get me out. So I love that God has given me that. Yeah.
What's the hardest thing you ever had to go through in life?
Wow, I don't know that there is a one hardest thing. My father dying was very difficult. My husband dying was very difficult. I was assaulted in my home. That was very difficult. I think when I first gave my heart to the Lord, I went to some churches that were really, really controlling and trying to understand what was of God and what was not of God. That was really hard, you know, especially it's like, yeah, I'm going to give my heart to God. I'm going to live for God. And you end up in a church and it's a very controlling church and you're not sure, is that God or is that just somebody telling me? Yeah. So that was really hard. I don't think I'll ever forget those experiences.
And how did you deal with those experiences, especially death? Because death is something that everybody deals with eventually. How did you deal with that?
Different deaths are different. They really are. My sister dying, that was one of the hard things for me. But we didn't grieve in a miserable way because my sister had some heart issues. She wanted to go on a cruise. She loved to travel. She died on a cruise ship. And so we knew she died doing what she wanted to do. So that was one way to grieve. You know, you miss her, but she loved the Lord, so I know I'll see her again one day. My husband dying was really difficult. I was in my early 20s, and he was in his early 20s, and he was working a job he loved. He was a welder. He worked downtown on one of the buildings. He fell off the building. That was really difficult. And again, I had to ask myself, if I believe that God is who he says he is, then he's got to be in charge, and and I will get through this. So I always have to talk to God. And when my father died, I wasn't necessarily living for the Lord. I just missed him. I missed him a lot. He was military. He had been gone most of my life in the military. And when he finally was able to stay home, he came back sick from Vietnam. So that was kind of you'll never get over that. It's kind of sick to your stomach kind of deal. But when he died, he really needed to be out of his pain and misery. So again, we were kind of at peace that he was okay. Yeah, he's okay.
Yes, tell me about the young generation. What is your, what irks you about the young generation today? What is your, something that you want them to do that they're not doing? What is that?
Well, you know, when I look at it deeply, they are a product of what we have allowed them to become. So we have to take responsibility in my age group. I think that when you do not train your children and you do not raise your children with rules and guidelines and teach them how to cope, you allow them to fail, because kids have to fail. Allow them to fail, and so that they can see who they really are and can build themselves up, then you're failing them. We basically allowed a generation to almost make their own decisions. And when you're young and you make your own decisions, you're going to do dumb stuff. but we just wanted to set them free. My grandma was too hard on me. My mom was too hard on me, so I'm not going to do that to my kids. And now we got a bunch of knuckleheads. You have to discipline your children. You don't hurt your children, but you discipline them, and you have to let them suffer. If you make a F, you made a F.
Why is it so hard for parents to do that?
I think there's two things. I think there's some parents who feel like they were doing their kids a favor, that grandma was too hard on them, they're not going to be that hard, because they did not understand and see that what grandma did was good for them, and that's why they are who they are. Then the second one, I think, is you got young people who really are not parents. They just had babies. And they walk around saying, I'm a baby mama, and that's a baby daddy, and I'm a baby mama, you know, and it's like, no, I'm not a family, I'm not a mother, I'm a baby mama, you know. So their concept of family was wrong. And if you're just a baby mama, all you did was give birth and put some tennis shoes on them and tell them to go outside and play. You didn't really train them. But children require a tremendous amount of attention, and we're not teaching them to speak clearly, to read, to think critically, to be able to handle pain, to be able to deal with situations. We're not teaching them who they are. You just give birth to them and push them out the door and tell them to go to school, you know? And what you end up with is a lot of kids who don't really have coping skills. They might be 18, 19, 20, but they have the skills of someone 8 or 9 years old, you know?
Tell me who taught you about that? Who taught you about?
Well, I was old school. My mother didn't. My mother.
Tell me about your mama.
My mother was very much a teacher, very hands-on.
Wow.
Before we all went to kindergarten, we could read, and we were shocked that everybody else couldn't read, because my mother was not a genius, and neither were we. But that's what she did. From very, very young, she taught us how to read. She read to us. She played music to us, and she taught us to listen for different instruments. What do you think this is? Oh, do you like that? She took us places on adventures. You know, when we were in Germany, we went on these adventures out in the mountains. My mother didn't even know where she was going. She just got us on the Autobahn, and we would go, you know, and she would introduce herself to people and talk to people. And here she is, this dark-skinned black woman. And, you know, after the war, and they had kind of vilified black people during the war. You know, we were supposed to be the enemy and bad guys and dumb. But my mother didn't care. She took her little children. I don't know that she knew that deliberately what she was doing, but she taught us how to be adventurous. How she taught us that people are just people, that I could do whatever I want to do, that just because we didn't have a lot of money didn't mean that we couldn't achieve. I could make an A just like a rich girl can make an A. I could make an A just like a white girl can make an A. And there was not a lot of talk about race in our family. My mother talked about us, you know.
So you didn't grow up about racism.
No.
Sure you witnessed it, but you didn't grow up knowing that it was something that we just.
I knew that it existed. I felt it. I had been called names. I worked at the Crystal on 4th Avenue when I was 15 years old, and there would be white people that would come in there that would not want me to take their order.
Wow.
And there would be white people who would come in that would not let me put money in their hand. There would be, you know, white people that didn't want you to bring their food. So I knew racism existed, but that was not big to me. The big part to me is I need to make A's. The big part to me was I need to be a woman of integrity. That was the big part. I can't change someone's prejudice. And also I knew too, there's just as many prejudiced black people as there are white people, you know? I heard what black people were saying about white people, just like I saw with, so I didn't think that we were superior or better. I just think that those were people who, they got some stuff to deal with, you know? And it didn't crush me, you know?
What's the best advice you've ever been given? Who was it that gave it to you?
Whew. I guess the best advice was from my mother, and from a child, to make sure that I always had a relationship with God. She said, "There's, you're going to always need something bigger than you that you can trust and you can believe in. There always has to be some place that you can go in a time of need," and that was always to the Bible. In the kindergarten, she had taught us to recite the 100 Psalms and the 23rd Psalms, and I still know those verses, you know. And here we are, 4 or 5 years old, and memorizing paragraph after paragraph after paragraph, and she just thought it was cute, you know. But I think she thought, I need to talk to my mom about that. I don't know why she did that.
Well, okay, so let me ask you this. What's the best advice you've ever given, and who was it that you gave it to? And
I tell my kids, I said, you know what, Mama is not perfect. I'm not perfect. I'm sorry, I'm not perfect. I didn't raise you in a perfect way, but I tell you what, I gave you the best gift I can give you, which is that God is who He says He is, and you need a relationship with Him. That'll take care of everything. That'll help you forgive me. I forgive you. But that's the best gift I can give you, is to realize God is who He says He is. And you need to have a relationship with Him. And I think most of my kids, even though they're not sold out like I am, you know, they know. They know. They know that God is real. So that gives me a lot of comfort. You know.
What do you know for sure?
For sure? Ooh, I'll tell you what the old folks used to say, you're going to stay black and die. I guess what I know for sure is that, and not trying to be kind of holier than thou, but I know that I love the Lord, and that I'll see Him one day. I think it's not a lot of things in this life you know for sure, but I know that. Not that I'm perfect, not that I won't fall before I get there, but I'll pick myself back up, and I know that I'll see Him one day.
I'm going to close with this. Finish the sentence. I am, and this has just come to me recently, living a very charmed life. You know, I never saw myself as having this charmed life, but I said, golly, God, you've been so good to me. You've been so good to me. I am living a charmed life. My legacy is?
One that I really cared about people and tried to help people. I've gone out of the way many times to my own hurt, to my own financial, not ruin, but spending my finances on other people. I always wanted to be of service to someone. When you go to a big funeral, this happened to me a couple of times, and I would see, wow, a couple of thousand people in this church say, who's going to show up for me and why? And when you think about that, have you done anything for anybody? You know, so my legacy, even before that, was that I want, when I leave here, that people will say I was a good person and I tried to do good things. Yeah.
God is
love, the purest form of love, not this love that people talk about. I love you, I love you. God's love is He will discipline you. God's love is that He is patient. God's love is He's forgiving. God is love, and the ultimate example of who we should be.
Thank you so much, Dee.
Oh, it was my pleasure, Matthew.
Wait, before you click another video, like and comment this video, because I believe that if I can touch you and I can uplift your spirit, imagine who I can touch. Just imagine. It only takes one video to inspire everyone.